This is the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray, helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority and profits through the power of live video. Gain confidence in front of the camera, confidence with technology, and confidence with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello and welcome to episode 89 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. My name's Ian Anderson Gray, and in today's show, we're going to be talking about how live video can help you host virtual workshops. This is really exciting because I think through the power of live video, you might not be wanting to actually do a regular live show, but you might want to raise your game when it comes to getting in front of the camera, producing virtual events. You might have found that this year, 2020, that you've been on Zoom or other platforms rather a lot this year, and you're wanting to make things look a little bit more exciting and interesting. And so Rhonda is fabulous. I've worked with Rhonda many times. We're good friends, and I'm just really looking forward to chatting with Rhonda about all of that today. But first, it is time to bring in my first sponsor of today, who is the wonderful Content 10X. Content 10X are awesome. They have been sponsoring the show right from the start. And they are basically the complete content repurposing suite or people. They are awesome. They will take that one live stream or blog post or podcast and explode it into a plethora of new platform-specific on-brand content. And if they don't do it for you, then of course they can teach you how to do it yourself. I see so many people missing out on this. They go live, they produce this content, but then they just leave it to kind of, I don't know, fester or die. And we don't want that. We want all that effort that you put into that to be used in other ways. So as I do on this show, this live show becomes a podcast, a blog post, social media images as well. And so they will teach you how to do that through their podcast, their blog, their book and toolkit. Guess what? They are actually practicing what they preach. They're actually doing that content repurposing themselves. They're really smart. I mean, Amy is a good friend of mine who is the founder of Content 10X. But I know the team well there. They're really responsive, creative, and effective. And if you want to take the stress out of content marketing, Content 10X are the people you want to go to. They've also got a service called LinkedIn 10X. So if you are wanting to raise your game on LinkedIn, all you need to do is create that one piece of content, and then they will then take that and create lots of other content on LinkedIn so that you can really raise your game there, which is fabulous. Wonderful. Okay, well, just a few things before I bring in Rhonda. As always, if you want to be notified for next time I go live, so if you're listening to the podcast or watching the replay and you feel that you've missed out, all you need to do is go to confident.live/subscribe. It even rhymes. How awesome is that? And if you are in the UK, you can also text in. You can text subscribe using SMS. So just text the word confident to 07723 361 790. I will be getting a US number at some point in the future. Awesome. Right, it's time to bring in Rhonda. Rhonda Peterson guides financial professionals to discover the return on energy, ROE. I'm going to have to ask her about that. For higher ROI. Using her custom coaching framework, her clients gain higher profits, have greater impact, and enjoy life more by connecting to the energizers that are at their core. Rhonda, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ian. It's always good to be greeted by applause. That's awesome.
It is. Well, I think we need that more than ever at the moment. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
We need a bit of that. And
absolutely.
So I had to do that. Well, thank you, Rhonda, for coming. I've got some people watching live. So we have Melissa watching who says, "Hi, Rhonda. It's great to see you. Melissa, hope you're doing well." And Rebecca Cunningham is watching on LinkedIn who says, "Oh my gosh, I love your open." So thank you very much. We do try and do some cool things on this show. But yeah, it's great to have you here, Rhonda. So I asked you this before, but for podcast listeners who didn't hear this, where are you dialing in from today?
I am dialing in from Columbus, Ohio. That's the center of the state. We are in the somewhat eastern part of the U.S.
Yeah, but a bit north, as we were saying
Yes.
before. Somewhere
Yes.
somewhere there. That's great.
Right off the
Well,
Great Lake. We'll just phrase it that way. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it kind of it makes me slightly sad because we were actually going to be visiting Canada, just north of the lakes, and well, we were going to go to Toronto and then go around there, and yeah, something happened. I don't quite know what that was this year, but less said about that, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True that. Yes, exactly.
So,
yes.
So I can't remember how long we've known each other for, Rhonda. It feels like at least a couple of years. Can you remember how we met? Because actually, this is shock horror. We haven't actually met in person. That makes me sad.
I know, it makes me sad too, because we just were ships passing in the night, I believe, from the standpoint of social media marketing world. The 1 year that I went was the year you apparently didn't. So that was poor timing on my part. Really, seriously. And I believe that we met through a mastermind group with Kelly Botter. I think that's how we met way back in the day. Maybe 5 years ago. Has it been 5 years?
I don't think it's been that long. Who knows?
Maybe
but yes.
4. Maybe 4.
So yeah, so Kelly Barter's been on the show. She's great, and yeah, we were in a mastermind together, and so I had the pleasure of hanging out with you, and we've worked together, and you're just one of my favorite people. We always have a bit of a laugh together, which is great. But unfortunately, we haven't spoken for a while, and that's really bad. So actually, it's ridiculous. It's taken bringing you onto the show for us to chat, but that's no bad thing, I suppose.
Well, so, sometimes it happens.
So tell me a little bit more about what you do. So there were a few acronyms in there. We were talking about, there was ROI, but there's this, which I think all of us will probably know, return on investment. But I've not really come across ROE, return on energy. And it kind of makes sense to me, but could you maybe go into that a little bit more about what that is and how you help your clients?
Return on energy is how I phrase the fact that if you're doing things that you're engaged in, you're energized by them. So if you're working in your strengths, you're energized by that. And so I help my clients identify and move into the things that energize them, because when they do that, they can make a much bigger impact. And when they're making that bigger impact, they have higher profitability. So it just becomes a virtuous circle once they do that. And I help them do that through, I have actually an energy audit that I have them do. And actually, we could offer that to your audience if you want to do that.
That'd be great.
As well as just a lot of self-awareness exercises. Because a lot of us, when we are, we get deep into the work that we're doing and we just start rolling on it. And sometimes we don't even recognize the places where we're getting off track. So I help my folks in the finance world really get focused on the self-awareness to be able to be at their best, and then bring a team around them that can round them out, so to speak.
That's really interesting. And I think actually there's so many of us that haven't done that deep work, and they haven't really worked out what energizes them and what they should be working on. And that's why I think we all need you. We need that help. I know you work with primarily with people in the financial industry, but I think when it comes to live video, we need to do that deep work first. We need to work out who we are and who our audience is and where we get our energy from before you press that go live button, because otherwise you're going to have some problems. And so that's something I always advocate. So maybe we can have you back on the show and we can talk about that, because I think that would be a really interesting topic. But today we're going to be talking about partly your journey with live video and what you've learned and how you've been able to take that into creating and hosting better virtual events. But I have to ask you this question first. Can you remember your first live video experience, and how did it go?
I believe my first live video experience, Ian, was probably in the mastermind group that I joined that you were doing. And I did it under duress because that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why I did the group, was so that I would force myself to put myself out there in live video, because that's not what I jump up and down about doing. And I was nervous as all get out, but I survived it because I'm here to talk about it. And I learned a lot of things by doing the first couple. My video experiences have been very sporadic. I'm on a lot of video with groups of people, because, being in masterminds with people from around the world, and doing that through, a lot of that was through Zoom. So it's not like I wasn't on video, but being the person that other people are watching and I can't see them and we can't interact, that's a totally different animal. And I was very anxious when I did that in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with. I think that is so important. With most of my guests on the show, when I ask them that question, they talk about the first few live video shows or experiences that they've had of being very, very nervous. And actually some have shared with me that they still get nervous today. I still get nervous even today doing that. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It depends on what you do with those nerves. Do you channel that into excitement? So it's really about turning that maybe a negative energy into a positive energy. So I think that's really helpful. So would you say that since then, would it be fair to say that you haven't been doing regular live video broadcasts?
Much to your dismay, Ian, yes, that would be true. I do not do live video on like my LinkedIn feed or Facebook. That's not where my live video is. I do live video in doing virtual workshops, being in Facebook groups, or not Facebook groups, sorry, in a mastermind where we're on Zoom or a platform of that kind.
Yeah. I think that's really important, because obviously on the show, I talk about the merits and the power of doing live video. And I truly believe that. And I truly believe that, pretty much all business owners out there can get so much power from live video. But it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And it's not been your focus, particularly this year of 2020. You've been focusing on, those virtual events. And that's not necessarily traditional live video broadcasting, but it kind of still is. It's you getting in front of the camera. You are still speaking live. So if you are watching and listening and you haven't done much in the way of live video and you're feeling guilty, then don't feel guilty, because Rhonda is here to share her experiences and what she's learned from I'd probably be fair to say the small amount of live video that you've done, but you've certainly we've worked together and you were in a mastermind that I hosted, and you learned a lot from that. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, which is great. So I'd love to know, if you're watching live or the replay, let me know what you think. Have you avoided live video, but maybe you are doing a lot of live events? And what is it that you want to improve upon? Is it just your live video set? Is it your messaging? There are loads and loads of things that we can talk about today. So my next question to you, Rhonda, is what have you learned from doing the live video, and how has that actually helped you when it comes to hosting some awesome virtual events?
The first thing that I remember learning from you, Ian, and I'm still practice it every time, is look at the camera, not at the people that are on the screen down below, because obviously we want to make eye contact with those people that we're having the conversation with. And so you're automatically trying to look at them. The problem is that's not where you're making eye contact with them. And that makes a huge difference. And you have to really reset your mindset to look into the webcam as opposed to looking at the screen. So that's the first thing. The second thing is trust that you know your content. Ongoing practice to really lean into that. But you know what it is you're supposed to be talking about. So, 3 bullet points is plenty. Really, you'll be able to talk about it. It's just letting go and allowing yourself and allowing your mind to take care of knowing what you want to talk about.
That's so true. So when you have done live video, what was going through your mind just before you went live? Because I think what you've just said then is so true. Trust in, what is it that you said? Trust in what you know.
Trust in knowing your content. You know that. To be honest with you, there are 2 things going through my mind. Please let the tech be working the way it needs to. That's another thing where you just have to let go and trust it. And the second thing is kind of breathing deeply and letting go so that your brain can allow you to keep those things front of mind as opposed to the fear taking over.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think the other thing that I find really helpful is having one of these. A run of show, or just like the points, put them somewhere so that because I don't know about you, Rhonda, but my brain goes to mush. I just I actually went live a couple of weeks ago. I dropped my my son at school, and then I went on a walk. And I thought, I'm going to go live. I'm going to share 3 points, and I had them on my head, and I was really proud of myself. I pressed the go live button. I got to my second point. I was on fire. And then I forgot what my third point was.
That would happen to me too.
Yeah.
Yes, I usually have them posted behind my webcam. See, I have to talk with my hands. It works better that way for me. But I usually have them posted behind my webcam, the points. And when I do a virtual workshop, I have a PowerPoint that I'm doing. So, you have that in the background that you can refer to. But the trick is to trust that as you say, with your run of show, you've got an outline that you're working from. You don't have everything scripted out from the beginning to the end.
So true. So true. So Melissa says, I get the jitters online. I love that. The jitters. Maybe explain what you mean by that. Do you kind of is it kind of like that? I think that's probably a good, do you feel like this? I had to press that button. Sorry. What can I say? But yeah, do you feel like that? So going back to what you said before, and this is the whole thing of looking through the camera, not at yourself. And it's not that we're being narcissistic. It's just that I think as human beings, we are hardwired to look at another human being, even if that happens to be ourselves. But this is obviously not going to help podcast listeners. But I just thought maybe... Rhonda, we could actually look at our computer screens and not at the webcam and see what it looks like. So I'm going to look at you, and if you're watching this at the moment, how does that make you feel? Rhonda, say something as you look at the screen.
I really am so engaged with. I love the tree that you have behind you, Ian. That's just so fresh, and it looks so inviting and real there.
Thank you very much. Well, let's look back at the camera. So obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, that will not help at all. But you can go look at the video. But just suffice to say, it does not look like we're engaging at all with you, the viewer. And it looks actually, I don't know what you think, Rhonda, but I think it looks quite insincere. When you were talking about my plant behind, I didn't believe you. So,
okay, well, there you go.
So, no, it's all right. So Melissa asks a great question. Would a teleprompter help? And it's something that I've avoided, actually, because for some reason I just thought, well, teleprompters, most people use teleprompters for a script. And what we don't want on live video is for you to have a script. If I was to read exactly what was on my screen, then I would sound like this, and that would not be very good. So I think where a teleprompter can help is if you have bullet points. And actually, I'm using a teleprompter at the moment. So I've got a little remote control here, and I'm pushing it up and down. But I only got this about a month ago. So this is a new thing. This is an iPad. So I've got my iPad and it reflects it onto a kind of mirror, and well, not a mirror. It's kind of a piece of glass, and then the camera is behind that. So you can do that, but I think this is where sometimes tech can get in the way, and it can be another excuse for you not to go live. And so sometimes I think we just need to go and press that go live button. And I think you probably had that experience too. You needed to give it be shoved a little bit in the live video department, didn't you, Rhonda?
Yes, this is very true. That's why being part of a group where everybody had to do certain things at certain times, exactly. we don't want to disappoint the other people that we're in the group with. That's the accountability part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that reminds me, I mentioned this on Tuesday of this show, that I'm going to be launching a course in November. So if you're listening to the podcast, the event will probably have passed by then, but I'll be doing some events in 2021. The idea is to do this 4 times every year. This is called Launch Your Live, and it's all about how to launch your Facebook Live show, but it's got a community, because the first week I'm going to be drip feeding the content, all the stuff that basically everything that you need to know about Facebook Live and launching a live video show. But the second week is all about practicing that. And it's not just about the theory. I mean, I think you would agree with this, Rhonda. If it was just the theory, if you just learnt everything and not actually pressed the go live button, would that have helped you?
No, because I can learn all day long, but if I don't actually do it, it never comes to fruition. Yeah. So that I completely agree with that. Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah. So if you want to find out more, if you want to sign up for that, I've got a waiting list. If you go to iag.me/LYL, that's short for Launch Your Live. So it's iag.me/LYL, and you can find out more about that. But anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about messaging, knowing what you want to say and trusting your message. This is something that you talked about. This is something that you obviously you help your clients with. But how does learning about how to go live help you with virtual events when it comes to the whole area of messaging?
One of the things that really helped me was getting really clear and concise on what I was going to say. I could do 3 paragraphs about a topic if I'm writing it, but when I have to get ready to go live, I better make that pretty concise in my notes about it. And so if you bullet that out and just have those bullets, you're thinking through ahead of time what it is you want to say. And it helps you get clear on your messaging so that you can put it out there in a way that works, not only for you, but so that your audience, you're speaking in their language. That helps a lot.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So I think it's so important to do that deep work to begin with, but then practice with Facebook Live, because there's nothing quite like a Facebook Live or any kind of live video to focus your attention on. For all the live shows that I do, I know that I'm going live today at this time. It's a little bit easier when I have a guest. I still need to do some preparation, obviously, because I need to know what we're talking about and ask you questions. But
yes.
But even still, I have to do that preparation. And if I hadn't scheduled that in advance, I probably wouldn't do it. So it's a great way of focusing that mind. Let's talk about confidence. Now, I know some people are just oozing confidence. I had Chris Ducker on the show, and he admitted he's a confident guy. But I know that not everyone is, and we all have our struggles, I think, sometimes with confidence. How does doing training and learning about live video and actually doing live video help with boosting our confidence? And how did it help you?
Well, one of the things that I understand about doing something that's new for you, excuse me, is that you're going to be, you're going to feel incompetent the first time you do it. So if you understand that, okay, I'm not going to feel super confident the first time, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't try it. And that the more I do it, the more confidence I'm going to gain. It's like any new skill that you start. You have to practice it before you become confident in it. I'm willing to bet that even Chris Ducker or Brene Brown or Simon Sinek, the first time they went live, the first time they spoke in front of an audience, they were not the most super confident person on the face of the earth, because none of us are. That's just how we're wired. That when we do something new, it takes us a while to get to be very competent in the skill that we're learning. So let's try it the first time and say, I'm going to keep working at it until I feel confident, because you have to remember, what is the purpose for why you're doing this? It's not just because Ian said I need to do it. It's because Ian said, if we do this, we can build the messaging and reach our target audience with serving them with what the message we have for them. Okay, excuse me, I'll get off the soapbox now.
No, that's so true, because there is an end goal there. It's not doing live video for live video's sake or doing anything for that sake. It's actually, what is the goal? But you may start really kind of lacking in confidence, and you might have some disasters along the way. I'm sure we could share some disaster stories. And I've shared this on the show before. Go back to iag.me/1 and look at the first video I did for the show, and that wasn't my first ever live video, but you can hopefully see how I've improved over the times, how I've become more confident. It's a journey, and that's what we talk about on the show. So yeah, don't worry about that. Now, actually, so Melissa actually says, definitely on the wait list. That's awesome, Melissa. But she says, introvert is me. I would describe myself as an introvert. I think you would describe yourself as an extrovert. Rhonda, would you say?
Yes, I would definitely describe myself as an extrovert.
But you see so this is interesting, because I don't think that has anything to do with confidence. I think you can be an extrovert who is lacking in confidence. You can be an introvert who's lacking in confidence. So I think confidence, introvert, extrovert, and also shyness and boldness, they're all actually different things. There are probably some correlations there, but I actually know introverts and extroverts who struggle with confidence right at the start when they do live. So yeah, and Melissa also says, stop procrastinating. Yes, procrastination is the killer. Now, I don't know what you think about this, Rhonda, but I happen to believe that live video is the perfect antidote to perfectionism and procrastination. Because if you schedule your live video, say for example, Rhonda, you schedule your video for next Tuesday at 2:00, you're going to have to do it, aren't you? And is it going to be perfect?
I would, because I look like an idiot if I don't.
So
maybe
there we go.
It's a strong word, but I would go back on my word if I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Yeah. Then you lose credibility. You don't want to do that.
Exactly. So obviously you need to do that preparation and obviously write down what it is that you're going to be sharing on your live video, and be prepared for things to go wrong. But if things go wrong, if you do look a bit like an idiot and you fall off your chair, that actually isn't the worst thing in the world, because it just brings a bit of humanity to it. As long as you are sharing your expertise, that's the main thing. So that brings me on to your favorite topic, Rhonda, and that is the world of technology. I'm being slightly sarcastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Ian.
So yeah, technology, obviously with live video and, anything online, virtual conferences. I mean, this year, so many people who aren't that technical have had to get to grips with Zoom. I teach singing on a Saturday at the Royal Northern College of Music. I still do a bit of that these days. And we're having to do a lot of it online using Zoom. And my wife is teaching her students at college on Zoom. We're all having to do that. And we're having to grapple with that technology. What have you learned when you were learning how to do live video, and how has that helped you with what you're doing now?
First of all, one of the things that I just want to praise you about, Ian, is the fact that you don't have to have every bell and whistle in order to go live. To say that you can do that just using your phone, and probably using your phone is probably the simplest way you can do it. For some of us, we think, oh no, we have to have everything. I have to have a webcam, and I have to have the headset, and I have to have this and that. But you don't have to have all that to go live. I have learned that for me, it's better if I have a webcam and a monitor that are separate from my laptop. That's just how it works best for me. But I've also learned that there are other ways that you can do it, and to have a fallback, that the simpler way is better if when you're thinking about your fallbacks that you're going to have, because you always have to have the what if situation for when you're going live, and especially if you're doing a workshop. So yeah.
Yeah. So when you're doing a workshop, is there anything that you've learned that has just raised your game slightly? You've talked about, you've learned that using a separate webcam and a monitor and all that kind of thing. Is there anything that you've learned that has raised your game?
One of the things that I've learned, and I wish I had it, that I could just put, hold it up in my hand, but to have a clicker so that I can control my slides, and to be thoughtful of, and also side trick, if you're using Zoom for your presentation, to have a second computer set up so that you can watch the chat, because one of the downfalls of Zoom is that if you are sharing your screen, you can't see the chat rolling, and that is it makes life more interesting. We'll phrase it that way. The folks at Zoom are thanking me for making that comment. But that's one of those things where, just to know that. And the other most important thing of all is, if you are going to be doing a virtual workshop, practice first. Always practice it first, because invariably something's going to go crazy. And if you've practiced it first, then you've gotten that first initial jitters and nervousness out of the way. So that's, to me, a very important part, to find a way to get a practice run in.
Really, really helpful comments there, Rhonda, because so first of all, if you can get a second monitor, that's going to really help. You can put the chat on the other page, or on the other monitor, and you can have your presentation on one, and I think that's just really good. Whether you're going to be doing a live video show or presentation on Zoom, it's good to be able to do that. But you don't have to. If you're just getting started, just keep it simple, as you said, Rhonda. And yes, practice. It's so important. Have those checklists in place. If you want to know more about the checklists that I use, there's an earlier episode. If you go to iag.me/podcast, you'll be able to find the episode on checklists. It's time to bring in my next sponsor. And this is quite apt, Rhonda, because we were talking about technology. This is a tech solution that is going to help you. Now, this is not necessarily for people who are just starting out and are going to really worried about all the technology. But once you've got a few live videos under your belt, you can definitely check out Restream. Restream is an awesome platform that allows you to stream to more than one platform at the same time. And that's what I'm using with this show today. I'm not just broadcasting to Facebook, but I'm also broadcasting to YouTube, to Twitch, LinkedIn Live. Oh my goodness, there are so many destinations. And in fact, with Restream, you can stream to over 30 different destinations at once. I think that might be a little bit overkill, going to 30, but you've got the choice there. And they are trusted by lots of big names there, including IBM, LinkedIn, and Microsoft. Now, I did say if you're first starting off, you might not want to think about multi-streaming, but they have a reasonably new service called Restream Studio. And this is great for people who don't really like to grapple with the tech. This allows you to go live from the comfort of your browser. So you can go live directly from your browser, share your camera and your microphone. You can put graphics on the screen and videos and do some really cool things. You can actually do your own virtual event directly from Restream Studio. And you can have up to 10 people on screen. So that's yourself and 9 guests. The thing I love about Restream is the fact that not only can you multiply your views and broadcast to all those different destinations at the same time, but most importantly, you can engage with your community. You can see people commenting on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. Back in the day when multi-streaming was in its infancy, you couldn't, the problem was there was this fragmentation of the comments. It was really difficult to see all the comments from all those different places. Now you can with Restream Studio, which is awesome. As well as that, they've got a scheduler that allows you to stream your pre-recorded videos live, and you've got the analytics feature, which allows you to see how your live videos have been doing and to see when the viewer count went up, when it went down, and you can really learn from that and improve things. So if you want to find out more, all you need to do is go to iag.me/Restream. They've got a free plan and they've got some awesome paid plans as well. And I thank you, Restream, for sponsoring the show. Fabulous. That's Restream. So Rhonda, let's talk about what else that you have learned over the years of dabbling in live video.
That is a great description, Ian. Dabbling is what I've done. What I have learned is that doing live video definitely pays off because people can see who you really are. When you write a blog post, they can read your words, but they don't get your tone of voice. They don't necessarily truly feel that they know you. Where if you're going live, whether it be on a podcast or whether it be on live video, they get so much more because they get your tone of voice. And when you're doing a live video, they can actually see your expression and they can see that you talk with your hands like I just did a second ago. And they can sense your passion for what it is you're talking about. So they know how much you care. And once they know how much you care about it, it's going to draw them in. It's that authenticity and connection point that video does, that there's no other medium that does it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And we're not saying that video is everything, that you shouldn't be blogging, but I mean, I totally see the power in blogging. Blogging changed my life. It really has. And but I think you're right, Rhonda, that there's something missing. They can't really see you. They can't see your mannerisms. They can't see your quirks. So I had Luria Petrucci on the show. We were talking about leaning into your flaws, and that can be a little bit scary. She was talking about the fact that she dances at the beginning of her videos. I can't imagine myself doing that. But she was saying, "Well, Ian, why don't you do a bit more singing? I do singing on my podcast." But yeah, lean into what makes you you. And this is something that you mentioned when we were talking before we broadcast, when we were talking about the topic via email. You were talking about one of the things that you've learned is just the whole idea of being you, being yourself. And you mentioned authenticity. How has doing live video helped you with that? And have you got any tips for people watching and listening, how they can just be themselves when it comes to live video? Because it can be a bit scary.
That's very true. I think one of the things for me that helps me do better at being myself on live video is, first of all, having practiced and done it. The more you get comfortable in front of the camera, the more you are willing to more fully be yourself, because the camera kind of goes away at that point in time. I think also, for me personally, it helps to have somebody else I'm having a conversation with, because I'm somebody who responds to what the person's saying to me. And I relax a lot more when there's somebody else in the conversation. And the other thing I think that we need to be willing to do is recognize that even if we're in a professional situation, that doesn't mean that we can't show who we are. That doesn't mean that we can't, laugh a little bit or smile or, kind of engage the audience by sharing something personal, like the fact that I have 4 grandchildren and they're going to be doing trick-or-treating in a safe way, whatever that is. Fortunately, I'm the Nana, so I don't have to worry about what safe looks like. But
yeah. I was wondering where you were going with that.
What are you saying, Rhonda? And Ian, that's a great example of being me, because rabbit trails are one of my strengths. So, that, which does make life interesting on a live video with me.
But sometimes those rabbit trails can lead to somewhere really exciting. I mean, think of Alice in Wonderland. If she hadn't gone into the rabbit hole, she wouldn't have had the rest of her adventures. So, I mean, obviously you want to have a structure, and you want to kind of, sometimes you need to most of the time you're going to want to come back to the main topic, but yeah, you want to have some flexibility with that. And that's why I think scripts are just not a good idea, or one of the reasons why scripts aren't a great idea. So I love that. I think that is so important. I think, we need to get out of our corporate identity and actually just be ourselves. Yes, be professional, but and I think live video helps that. Once you've got the confidence with the tech, definitely. So Melissa agrees. Yeah, practice first and be true to yourself. And yeah, I think that is so true. And the only way really is by practicing. So thank you, Rhonda. Well, I think we're pretty much at the end. Was there anything else you wanted to share? Anything else that you've learned in your live video experience that's helped you?
I think one of the last thing I want to leave people with is what we just did. Laughter is so freeing when you're doing your live video. You can be communicating, unless of course you're dealing with something that has to do with a very serious medical condition or something like that. But if we're talking about the things that you and I talk about, Ian, laughter can help ease the nerves, and it also can help engage with the other people that you're talking with through the live video. And to not be afraid of that, to not think you have to be super serious, but to be fully yourself and show up authentically using laughter and being comfortable and not taking yourself too seriously when you're doing the video.
I would agree with you. Sorry. Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Don't take yourself too seriously. Oh, you can have so much fun with all of these sound effects. I need to play with these a little bit more. We've got glockenspiel here. We've got a triangle.
Lovely.
And yeah, some other ones. But anyway, enough of that. Well, thank you so much, Rhonda. Now, you did mention, I think you said there was some audit that you had. Is there a place that you can direct people to find out more about that?
Actually, if they can either go to my website or connect to me on LinkedIn. Because if they connect to me on LinkedIn and mention that they heard me on the Confident Live Marketing Show, I will send them that through LinkedIn.
That is awesome. Well, just search for Rhonda Peterson. That is RHONDA, and then Peterson, just as you spell Peterson. So, I mean, your name is very easy. So, so definitely do that, connect, but do send a personalized request on LinkedIn. We've talked about this before when I had Louise Brogan on the show. It's good to do that. And feel free to connect with me as well. But do check out my LinkedIn profile. I have a special code word that you need to find. So there we go. It's very, very super secret. So thank you so much. Melissa says, thank you and good to see you both. It's been great to have you commenting, Melissa. Really appreciate that. So yeah, if you want to find out more about Rhonda, RhondaPeterson.com, I think is the name of your website. And you can also search for Rhonda and connect on LinkedIn, which I think is your favorite, your place on the socials.
That is my place on the socials. You are correct. And actually, if they go to Rhonda Peterson Coach, they'll go directly to me, as opposed to, I thought there was only one Rhonda Peterson in the world, but there are more than one. So to find me, Rhonda Peterson Coach, and I'll be there. Okay.
Awesome. That is fabulous. Wonderful. Well, we're almost at an end. Thank you so much for listening or watching. This show goes live every Tuesday and Thursday, except for next week, because actually next week I'm doing something very exciting on the Tuesday and Wednesday. I am producing the event, the live part of Janet Murray's 2021 Sorted. So definitely check that out. If you haven't bought tickets for Janet's event, you can go to janetmurray.co.uk and do that. And I'm really excited about that. We've got some fabulous speakers there, and I'm doing some really cool things with the event. So that is why I'm not going to be doing a show on Tuesday, but I will be here next Thursday. As always, you can get notified for future episodes at confident.live/subscribe. And don't forget the podcast at iag.me/podcast. And if you haven't subscribed, you should do that. It's very, very, very good and very fun. And you'll miss out on the theme song that I do every single episode. So I have to think about what theme song to do for you, Rhonda. What's your favorite genre of music?
Oh, wow. That is a hard question because I have so many.
Oh, eclectic taste.
Yes, very eclectic taste. Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you can let me know next time.
I'll think about that.
I'll
have an answer for you next time. Okay.
Awesome. That would be great.
Awesome.
Well, that's the end of the show. Thank you so much. Until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray. Be sure to join the community at iag.me, where you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. And until next time, toodaloo.